On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel's changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel's Super Sub, if your player's subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DCKYWY. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 877-770-7867. Louisiana.
Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Lovely Rita, meet a maid. Nothing can come between us. When it gets dark, I tow your heart away.
Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, Iran acknowledging that at least part of the deal appears to be finalized as President Trump believes that a settled deal could be on the horizon and maybe could happen as early as this week. And what a difference a few hours make. Because earlier today, we were hearing the president saying, get ready for day 3 of the pounding, that a whole bunch more was going to be coming and that President Trump was really going to pummel them. We know that they hit 49 tomahawks last night. And President Trump today talked about the crown jewel, something we've talked a lot about here on the Rita Cosby Show, Karg Island, which is the whole oil and gas infrastructure. That's like the heart and soul of Iran. And President Trump essentially said, we may take it over. And you know, when President Trump says something like that, he's planning on taking it over. And clearly that was a wake-up call to even the craziest of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. So here is President Trump saying what maybe has turned the tide, because he's saying as early as this weekend, and there are reports it could be as early as like maybe Saturday or Sunday in Switzerland. That's one of the places being talked about. There may be a deal being signed by a whole bunch of parties, including the U.S. and Iran and many of their Arab neighbors. It's an interesting issue because the question is, will they ever agree to anything that they'll abide by? I still am so skeptical, but President Trump seems a lot more confident today, and it just shows when you use force, suddenly they listen in the Middle East. Here is President Trump just a little bit ago saying it is the Iranians who are begging to come back to the table.
Why are you so convinced that this time is different?
Because they've taken a pounding. They've taken a pounding like very few people could take, and they want to make the deal a lot more than I do. And we could have had it done the other way, I guess, but it would have taken longer. They got hit very hard recently, as you know, and I don't like to have to do things that way, but I felt it was necessary. It's a great deal for the United States and for the Middle East, and I think ultimately great for Iran because they'll be able to build up their country and their country. I really believe it's a regime change because I find these people to be much more rational than the people that are no longer with us. We knocked out the first team of leadership, the second team of leadership. This is a different group. This is a different level. And I think it's, frankly, a smarter level, and it's a level that has reason. And they've all approved the deal. Everybody's approved the deal. Now we'll get it finished up, and hopefully that'll be done. We will not have Iran having a nuclear weapon, which is very important to these people behind me. We can talk about fishing. There won't be anybody to fish. The fish will still be around, I guess. They're probably going to be affected, too. We're not going to let it happen. So Iran will essentially, most important paragraph to me, Iran will in no way, shape, or form have a nuclear weapon or purchase a nuclear weapon.
I like the fact he's adding, they will not purchase it. Because, you can just say, hi, Kim Jong-un, could I buy one from you? Maybe we can't produce it, but can I buy one from you? So you could tell President Trump, ever the guy who is checking the deal, making sure there's no loophole, and also making sure that it's verified. Listen, let's pray that this is it. I hate the fact that you're already seeing these naysayers on the Democratic side saying, what are we doing this for? On some of them are saying, why are we doing a deal? Which is ludicrous. And then others are saying, why is it continuing these threats against the Iranian people? Why did we ever start this fight? I mean, you just can't win in these TDA times, Trump derangement syndrome times. And speaking of which, did you guys see what was going on at the National Mall? They have a deranged vandal who burned in massive numbers, 8647. Remember James Comey, who had that phrase out there on the seashells that he just happened to stumble upon on his beach? Remember that whole deal? Well, now 8647, those numbers are appearing in the National Mall there in Washington, D.C., right next to the reflecting pool that the president just fixed. And of course, it comes as they're planning all these big America 250 celebrations and World Cup celebrations. And this is just so completely out of hand. These people are nuts. So who did this? They burned the grass, apparently. And you could see from a top, you can see on like sort of satellite, a big 80, and you can sort of see a 647. Clearly, we're probably going to see a lot more of that, thanks to the phrase by James Comey and his crazy beach. And by the way, he's still being investigated too, remember? And also John Brennan as well. Meantime, President Trump saying that he thinks a deal is going to come about. And in fact, people at the White House tonight are saying that this is not just another one of those, we think it's going to happen, and then it goes back to, they really seem a lot more optimistic this time. And couldn't it be amazing? President Trump turns 80 on Sunday. Maybe the gift is peace in the Middle East. Here's President Trump from earlier.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. See, that means they like. If the market goes down, that means they don't like the deal. But it's been up. Oil's dropped. Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before. I said I was in Iowa. It was $1.85 a gallon. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but we're going to get pretty close. It's going to come down, and when oil comes down, everything else comes down. And most importantly, we have a deal that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, which was the whole purpose of what we had to go through to get this. So it was a big, very big thing. But we have a signing soon, and the documents are in pretty final shape. So we'll see. We'll see. Very good. Should be done. That should be done pretty quickly. They want it every bit as much as everybody else wants it. And I think a lot of good relationships can ensue from this. I just spoke with the leaders of many of the countries that were mentioned in the release. I just spoke to Bibi. I spoke to the head of great heads of nations, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and others. And we're going to be talking to Turkey. President Erdogan is great. And it's really a wonderful thing. With a lot of spirit. Pakistan was fantastic. The Prime Minister and I call him the general. He's a general. He's a great general. He's so great that he's actually a field marshal, a step above. And they're all very happy. The whole Middle East is happy. And long beyond the Middle East, the Strait will open as soon as we have it signed.
breaking news.
And boy, oh boy, can you imagine if that comes together in a matter of days? What a birthday gift that would be for President Trump. Meantime, as you just heard, some more breaking news. Graham Platner, who President Trump tonight called a con man and a thug and a loser. Well, now some new details are coming out about Graham Platner. It's only been a few days since he won that Democratic primary in Maine for the U.S. Senate seat, unbelievably in a landslide. And now another former girlfriend who he says, or who she says, I should say, he was cheating on his fiancée with in 2021. So he's got a fiancée. This is 2021. I assume it's probably the woman he married, because I think he's only been married for like a year or two, although who knows with that guy. Seems to have a lot of women on speed dial, or at least on the sexting app, that's for sure. But he apparently was engaged, and then he cheated on his fiancée in 2021, they're saying. And this woman, who is a streamer, but a Democrat, that's what makes this a little different. The other one was a gal that he dated for 3 years. She was a conservative. So, of course, he said, oh, it's all politics. There's no way. This is all politically charged. There's nothing else tied to it. But in this particular case, this one is a Democrat. And she's coming forward with some really interesting allegations. Now, she's saying he darn well did know about that Nazi tattoo, which I agree with her. I mean, there's no way. You don't wake up for 17 years with a huge old Nazi tattoo. I still don't buy his story on that one. But what she is saying, that he purposely wanted that Nazi tattoo. And when she asked him about it, he said it reminds him every day that the U.S. was the evil bad guys overseas. Sounds like a really great guy to represent America. This guy gets worse and worse. That the Americans were the bad guys overseas. And now he wants to represent America. And remember, senators go overseas. And senators are supposed to be ambassadors, essentially, for America and for their constituents. But he thinks, I guess, America's evil. Lovely, lovely guy. And she says it was clear he was very well aware of a lot of his comments. And if you look at a lot of the comments, the list goes on and on. Women essentially deserve to be assaulted, made those racist comments on Reddit. He mocked the soldiers. Clearly, this is a guy with a chip on his shoulder, and it wasn't like he was 12 when he made these comments. This was back in 2021, and he's cheating on his fiancée. I wonder, he was still on that. He was on that Kick app at that time. And in fact, the New York Times came out recently and said that that app is notorious for like sexual predators and pedophiles. And yet, Graham Platner, who's now trying to do, quote, the victory tour, I'd love to have 5 minutes talking to that guy. That would be interesting. How many of you want to see that? You know, I'd grill, skewer, and baste him, but that would be fun. Maybe not in that order. And then maybe I'd have some of the girls that he was sexting with in the studio and ask them if they have any questions for him. Maybe he could ask for their IDs, because remember, he's so sure that they're of age. But here is Graham Platner. He was on MS Now, and you got to hear this. This is amazing because, first of all, they were teeing it up like, oh, Graham, obviously you went through this tough time with PTSD. How can we help you? And then they said, are you sure there's nothing else out there? This was yesterday morning. Are you sure? Are you sure? And I guess his nose was growing like Pinocchio. Oh, I'm so sure. Take a listen to what he said.
Asked this question by Chris Hayes about the issue of, is there more out there? What else could be out there that might be revealed during the campaign? And you deflected, said, among other things, this is between you and your wife. It was understandable to a limit because for Maine voters in a general election, the question is, what is out there? What is not in your possession that you sent to others who may have in their possession? How many concerning pictures and or text messages are in the possession of other people that could be used against you? And I'd like to know if there are pictures, concerning pictures.
I will just say that The nature of Amy and I's relationship has been blown, I would say, totally out of proportion. Early in our marriage, we had some struggles, and we worked through them because that's what you do when you're in love with somebody. And it made our marriage much stronger, made us, frankly, a much happier and communicative couple. I was single for the majority of my adult life. I was in my 20s and 30s and I dated. And, that's in the modern age, that's what happens. You date people and you use dating apps and you do all this stuff. And frankly, that all happened long before I got married and happened long before I decided to run for the United States Senate. I can just tell you, there is nothing out there that is going to will run counter to any of the stories that I've talked about openly this entire campaign. And I know everyone continues to be like, oh, what else is coming? Ironically,
right.
The whole what else is coming has essentially been the same thing the whole time, which is I've been very open about the fact that I struggled, very open about the fact that I had a long litany of failed relationships for years because I myself was not in a good place. And then every now and again, we will have a media outlet or a politically motivated attack come up and try to drag it all up. But it's all very much within the exact same story that I've told this entire time.
What a bunch of hogwash. What a bunch of hogwash. Is there anybody out there that corroborates his story? I love how he says, oh, it made our marriage stronger. I'm sure she really appreciated her husband being on a sex app, essentially, for still today. He's still there registered. There he is in his towel because he's acting like, oh, no big deal. Like that's normal. I mean, is there anybody out there who say, oh, God, I'm really glad if my spouse was out there sending sexual messages. And I'm so glad my spouse did it because it just made our relationship so much stronger, so much better. That's an incredible line. 1-800-848-9222. And we'll take your calls when we come back on The Rita Cosby Show.
One summer moment can change a child's life. Through Toys for Tots Give and Go initiative, your support provides books, games, toys, and outdoor adventures that spark curiosity, creativity, and a love of nature. Whether it's fishing, learning a new sport, reading under a tree, or playing with friends, these moments build confidence and lifelong memories. For too many children, those moments never come. You can help change that this summer. Visit toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots, delivering hope beyond the holidays.
The Rita Cosby Show, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And let's go to your calls, guys. Let's go to Thomas in New Jersey on line 3. Go ahead, Thomas.
Thank you, Rita. God bless you. And Norm is in my prayers. God help to him.
Absolutely. How beautiful that he called in to let us know he's doing okay. But I have been thinking about him so much, too, Thomas. What a great guy he is. And he sounds like he's a fighter. I can't wait to hear back from him. Norm, if you're listening, we love you.
Yes, indeed. Rita, Graham Platner, we both know this guy is a dirtbag. And
yes, we do. By the way, we do know that. Yes.
You know, Rita, we're people with common sense. We've been around. This guy's a dirtbag, and I don't care how he spins it. And the fact that he was in the military, Rita, I'm sorry to say, we have dirtbags in the military. I mean, thank God most of them are God-fearing red, white, and blue Americans, but not all of them. Many of them are traitors. I mean, Platner fits perfectly in the Democrat Party.
Yeah, he does. He does. Hey, Tom, do me a favor. Stick with us, okay? Because we got to go to a hard break, but I want to have more with you because you're terrific, and I agree. And sadly, look, most of the people in the military are incredible heroes, and I never want to disparage his service, but boy, he is a pig.
I didn't think the pain from the shingles rash would affect simple, everyday tasks like bathing, getting dressed, or even walking around. I was wrong. Though not everyone at risk will develop it, 99% of people over the age of 50 already have the virus that causes shingles, and it could reactivate at any time. I developed it, and the blistering rash lasted for weeks. Don't learn the hard way, like I did. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from South Carolina, where Carletta Bush was driving from Georgia to North Carolina when she suddenly hit a guardrail, rolled over, and then she blacked out, regaining consciousness trapped in her car. Chester County Sheriff's Deputy Daniel Threet saw the burning car, and he ran towards it while screaming, "Ma'am, can you hear me? Can you hear me?" It was all captured on body cam footage where you see him then rushing towards the car, again in flames, and the woman trying to make contact with her before eventually pulling her out of the burning car just in the nick of time, literally cutting her free from her seatbelt and the car exploding. Upon reuniting with her hero recently, Deputy Threet, who rescued her, the woman looked at him and said, "You are my angel." By the way, she was driving to Charlotte, North Carolina to celebrate finishing radiation treatments for her breast cancer when she lost control of her car on a rainy stretch of highway. She said she just remembered after that, her eyes popped open, and she said it was something like in the movies. Her car flipped 9 times before finishing upside down and engulfed in flames with her stuck inside. Now, the sheriff's officers added that every day the men and women of law enforcement face the unknown and run toward danger. Thank you, Deputy Threet, for your selfless service, quick thinking, and bravery. And wow, what a heroic action that is, saving her life. And boy, is she lucky to be alive and lucky to have an angel like Deputy Threet. Well, clearly Graham Platner is no angel, that's for sure. The list goes on and on. You heard the latest doozy tonight coming from a Democrat who says she dated him while he was cheating on his fiancée, and he knew darn well about that terrible Nazi tattoo. How could you not? So more and more people are coming forward, and I have a feeling this is just the beginning. I'm waiting for like the waterfall to open up, just like Niagara Falls. Obviously on the Canadian side, because it's a lot bigger there than the U.S. side. But like it'll be the Canadian side of the falls running over. The cup runneth over. I see it happening. It will definitely happen. It's already beginning. And it's only been a few days. So just wait till it gets onto the old October surprise. Can't wait for that one with this guy. Every day will be October surprise with this guy. But here is Graham Platner. He was on MS Now. And first of all, boy, did he get the soft treatment. And I'm going to go back to Thomas in a moment. But first, listen to Graham Platner, because, again, he's asked in this interview, is there anything out there? And aren't you troubled by these allegations against you? There's obviously a lot of things here that people should really be sort of concerned about. And here's what he said.
You say there's nothing out there that could be concerning. And this may seem a little bit rich.
There's nothing out there. I just want to make this clear. There's nothing out there that's actually concerning. People will make everything seem very concerning because that's what people do in politics.
What a pathetic, there's nothing out there that's concerning. Everybody walks around with a horrible concentration camp tattoo on from the guards there at the concentration camp. And then everybody goes out there and disparages veterans and says all these other horrific things. This guy truly is in la la land. And then listen to this exchange, because then he talks about how everything was consensual. Everything's fine. This is so normal. If this is normal, I'm on the wrong planet.
Then let me ask you this way. Can you just talk about the nature of the sexting in terms of, can you call for the release of the Epstein files? And can you call out those who have abused women and not be conflicted in any way?
Yes, of course. I mean, I engaged. consensual romantic activities with adults at an earlier part in my life. That seems like a fairly normal thing most people do. Going to an island with billionaires to possibly assault children is a vastly, vastly different thing.
That's a classic. So he's talking about Epstein, saying, oh, this is terrible what people have done. Everything's the Jeffrey Epstein case. And yet, do you find the irony here of the guy who's on an app that's known for young girls, and he claims everybody was above age and he's sexting? I like, again, what John Kennedy and John Fetterman, both sides of the political aisle, came out with in the last 24 hours, saying, Graham Platner, show us your sex messages. Show them. Put them out there. Let's make it public. If there's nothing if this is normal and everything is above board and these people are above age and everything was fine and everything's fine with your wife and you, then put it out there. Let people judge your character, because your character does matter if you're running for U.S. Senate. You're not running for a dog catcher. I wouldn't trust it with my dogs. I'd pretend like I would be like, what's he doing with my dogs? He's putting a tattoo on them? No, thanks. Keep him away from my dogs. And this guy is dangerous. And yet, listen to the mamsy-pamsy treatment he gets from MSNBC. This is really, I just think, terrible. You listen to one of the hosts there, and he just walks him down the garden path. Now, it's an obvious question. You've done this. Do you regret it? And how can you say that's normal? How do you know they're above age? How do you know they're this? This is not normal for people in the military. We talked about how most people in the military are incredible heroes and incredible great people. And even to this day, I will not disparage Graham Platner's military service. I said before the break, I will always respect his military service because anybody who goes to battle deserves our respect. But I will not respect the man, because there is clearly some screws loose with this guy. And many veterans that I've talked to are furious about him. I think even more furious than others, because they feel he's giving a bad name to veterans, and they feel he's using PTSD, which is something that a lot of veterans have. There's no, to me, that is a clear thing. There is something very serious when you come back from battle, but they don't have a tattoo on for 17 years. And they don't go on and start sexting everybody, and they don't go and do all these other things, and they don't disparage other veterans, and they don't sell out America, as we're just hearing from the allegations tonight. That this woman, a Democrat who dated him while he was engaged, said that he liked the tattoo because it reminded him that the U.S. was the evil bad guys overseas. That's why he liked looking at it, because it's like it reminds him what a bad country America is. And now he's running for office here. I find the irony just disgusting. So let's go back to MSNBC and their very softball question. Boy, did they tee it up like, oh, I feel so bad for you, sweet, lovely, kind little Graham. You're just so nice, and your little sex messages are just so sweet. Here it is. Can we help you? Listen to this. This is preposterous.
With all of the controversies, with the scandals, so-called scandals, it depends on voters' point of view on whether the controversies are scandals. A lot of it, you have said, had to do with PTSD when you came back from service. And my God, I know the families for generations have seen loved ones experience this, even when they didn't call it PTSD. The lawyer in me, though, wants to try to figure out what's the timeline. I was going to say without getting too personal, but I guess you kind of need to get very personal if you want to represent the people of Maine in the United States Senate. Give us a timeline for your struggles with PTSD and how you believe it impacted you personally and explains many of the character failings that you yourself have talked about as you've tried working through these. What's the time frame for that PTSD, and where are you now? Are you still experiencing, again, I speak in ignorance because I didn't fight in Iraq and Afghanistan or any war, so forgive me if this last part is ignorant. Do you ever get past PTSD, or does it stay with you?
So I'll just say, I mean, look, much like any kind of treatment or therapy, much like getting over any kind of trauma, there isn't like one day where you're not doing well, and then one day you're magically good again.
I don't even know what to say. That was the most embarrassing question. Oh, walk us through, poor sweet little Graham. You seem like such a nice little sweet Nazi tattoo wearing guy. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And here it is. Here's a doozy. In the midst of all this, Jim Messina, he is the former Obama campaign manager. This is incredible. I mean, this is, what was it, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga? A Star is Born.
Well, first of all, I thought that was a masterclass. I don't know if he wrote that or who wrote that, but that was really good. And the fact that he 1 year ago wasn't a politician, and then he delivers that in front of basically the entire country, I thought that was, you're seeing A Star is Born, and you're seeing how a guy who no one had heard of a year ago, even in Maine, no one had heard of him, just beat the incumbent governor in a primary. And so I thought it was amazing. I, too, thought the first 2 minutes of that speech was amazing when he said, if you believe we can change the system, then you got to believe that people can change. And I know people can change because I have. Relating it to that, I thought was perfect political theater, and it's true. And then coming back later saying, hey, this race isn't about me. This race is about us. As you remember, that was a very big Barack Obama line in 2008. He was just the vehicle for people's hopes and dreams. And I think Platner putting it not about himself and building it to about all of us, and then deliver the line you talked about. There's nothing that people get more mad about a broken political system, and they realize the deck is stacked against them, and they realize why the deck is stacked, because of money. And so that line I thought was a brilliant political move, and I think it's a guy who understood the moment he was in.
That's incredible. He's talking about his victory speech of Graham Platner. A Star is Born. He's the vehicle for hope and change. If that's a vehicle, that's a car crash. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go back to Thomas in New Jersey, line 3. Thomas, sorry, you have a lot of material here to comment on.
Thank you, Rita. Yeah. Rita, I think Platner engaged in illegal activity. I think Todd Blanche ought to investigate him. I bet you dollars to donuts that some of that sexting was with underage girls. That's illegal. He should be investigated. I'd love to see his military career be investigated by Pete Hegseth. I think there's skeletons out there, Rita, big ones.
I do too.
How could he ever pass a security clearance? How does Ilhan Omar pass a security clearance? Swalwell. These are the dregs of society. Don't we vet people in Congress anymore? I don't understand this. How did these people how did they get confirmed? Was there's no background checks done on these people? Okay, great, they get voted, they get nominated. They can't pass a security clearance, a background check. What's going on in this country? You know
what's amazing, Thomas? You bring up a great point, because even like a little bit of opposition research would have shown this, because some of the things that he was saying, first of all, disparaging other veterans. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, wait, the veterans disparaging other veterans? And it was right there on Reddit. It was out there in a Post-it note. I mean, and this Kick app, he's still on it today because he's trying to make it look like he didn't do anything wrong. So he doesn't want to take it down, because then he knows that looks really bad, like he had something to hide. So he's doing the opposite. He's clearly either being guided or his own guidance, saying, I'm going to keep it up of me in a towel, that everybody has pictures of them in a towel, and everybody is sexting strangers, while you're married. And so here, the other issue, I think you hit the very first point, I think, and both of them are powerful points, that Pete Hegseth investigating the military, but also the underage stuff. So, Thomas, 100%. How could he say, and he said with a straight face the other day, he is sure they're all adults. He's sure. Apparently, he's been on this site for 3,000 days plus. All right, that's a long time. That's a lot of towels. So if that's the case, he doesn't know how old they are. And apparently that website, there was a big article done in the New York Times recently that says the website is essentially for women, mostly 13 to 24. And it's sort of known as a place to pick up underage chicks. That was in the New York Times. Obviously, everything, is subjective. But how was he ever going to know that they're of age? Can you think of any fathomable way that if he's been on and randomly picking people, who knows? What does he meet them too? I mean, that's another thing too. And if they're young girls and if they're underage and they cross state lines, you know where I'm going. You're an attorney, Thomas. Where is this headed?
And also, Rita, how about when MS-13 and the Crips and the Blood, we capture these devils from hell, one of the first things they do when they're incarcerated is they check their tattoos. The Totenkopf means deadhead. That was one of the Nazi symbols. Okay, Graham, we're going to investigate your tattoo. We're going to assume by what's on your body that you're in the American Nazi Party. Now step up and defend it. Let's go, Todd Blanche. We got evidence on his body. He's a dirtbag.
I agree.
He's a traitor.
And you have other women who dated him. And we know for a fact he at least definitely confirmed he dated that first one who came forward, the one he dated for 3 years. So it's not like, oh, I don't know her. And they both say so far that they definitely knew what it was. And he knew because he used to kind of brag about it with them. I mean, are you kidding? You have a big tattoo. Are you stupid? That it's on you for 17 years is just inconceivable. So you're right. There should be some investigation. And actually, I wonder, too, if that site, that Kick site, if there's a way, obviously, you get a good forensic expert. Maybe they can do some digging and find out who was P. Hustle. I think it's like 1330, as John Fetterman likes to call him, because that was what his handle was P. Hustle something. Let's do a search of what P. Hustle, who was P. Hustle talking to? And let's get all the ages out there. There have been a number of famous politicians of late who ended up in the political highway because it turned out they were with minors, that they were reaching out and sending explicit pictures to minors. So I think there is fertile territory here, Thomas, don't you? I mean, there's a lot of digging, and look what we know already just in such a short time. I think there's a lot out there. Thomas, some really great points. We're going to continue, everybody, after the break. 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And coming up on the Rita Cosby Show, we will also talk about the Carmelo Anthony case today. And obviously so many developments tied to Iran. President Trump saying that he will probably send the vice president of the United States, J.D. Vance, potentially this weekend to maybe Europe if it looks like a deal is ready to be signed. And he believes that the Iranian officials, all the way up to the supreme leader, remember it's like the second or third tier of it. The first one or two have been missing. They're dead. They're in a pile of rubble. But this one, the son of the supreme leader, he believes has signified that he is ready to sign the deal. So let's see. It sounds like it's very close. At least they are not bombing because President Trump believes they got the message the last two nights. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Robert in Philly. Line 4. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Rita, as always, it's good to talk to you. And if I could just take a second to comment on what I would call the family that you built here. It was wonderful to hear from Norm. He's my favorite free spirit, and I hope he gets better every day.
Yes.
It was also good to be hearing strongly from Joaquin. He's doing really well. I agree with some of his stronger positions. I think he speaks a lot of truth, and it's good to hear him in the fight. And it was wonderful to hear from Jacqueline. Common sense, strength, and I have a soft spot for women who do not suffer fools or wimps, and that's Jacqueline.
Hey, wait. What about the female host of the show?
Oh, well, see, you weren't missing, though, Rita.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
You're still going strong.
You bet. No, by the way, I love Jacqueline's fire, and you're right about Joaquin and Norm are both so special, and Norm sounds really, really great. Robert, if you have any more, stick with us because we're going to go to a break, and I want to get into some topics with you. You're awesome.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit dyingdollar.com to request your free gold and silver guide. That's dyingdollar.com.